I think I'm gonna give this to someone. I don't know if Jose Luis allows me to give it out. It's actually worn out. So I hope you enjoy our previous talk. As Jose Luis was saying, innovation is actually touching every single aspect of our lives. I personally am looking forward to the whole mind-to-mind thing. Now I think about this sex mind-to-mind. That would be pretty cool. So our next panel, we're going to talk about the influence of this kind of innovation in the industry. So we have a panel, it's called the Industrial Revolution 4.0, Opportunities and Threats in Technology. Our next moderator and panel, she comes from one of the largest corporations here in Spain. She's been working for quite so many years there, as initially as Director of Strategy, and currently as Director of Innovation and Business Development at Endesa Iberia. Please welcome Mónica Espinosa. Please take a seat, and let me call you your wonderful panelists. So obviously, Jose Luis Cordero, you already know. Eric Giller from Speedy Packets. Big applause, please. Big applause. Maria Sansigre, Dimitri Partners, and James Wise for Balderton Capital. Guys, enjoy. Monica, the stage is yours. Rock it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to all of you. I hope you had lunch already, so you may or might sleep a little bit, and we are going to try to have this roundtable in a very fast, speedy, and interesting way, so you feel awake. I'm going to introduce the four speakers that we have. I'll start with Jose. You know him already. He was speaking first before us, but I will just follow the script. Let me read, because each of them has a bio, like, 1 or 2 pages of this. So we've done a big resume, but still it's quite long. So I'm going to read it to you. He is founding energy advisor and faculty at Singularity University in the NASA. And he has stated as a world citizen in our small planet, and this is on quotes, in a big unknown universe. He has studied, visited, and worked over 130 countries in the 5 continents. Jose has extensive work in technological foresight, futures studies, globalization, economic integration, long-term development, energy, education, and monetary policy. So please, an applause. Eric Geiler. He works for Speedy Packets. He has held top executive positions in growing startups and is the author of more than 20 patents, which is kind of a success, let me tell you. He's currently the CEO of Speedy Packets, a company that has dramatically improved the efficiency and performance of TOP, Transmission Control Protocol, the primary protocol for moving content around the internet. Among other positions, he's been CEO of W-Tricity Corporation, an MIT spin-off founded in 2007 to commercialize a new technology for wireless electricity invented by physicists from MIT. And he's also founder and CEO of Booktruth, a provider of telecom software and hardware platforms. So, Maria Sansigre, she's investment director in Dimitri Partners, an investment fund management firm specialized in clean tech and, among other things, smart cities. She's industrial engineer. She's specialized in energy technologies and has a particular experience in green IT. After the years, she has worked for IBM and IREC, the Catalonia Institute for Energy Research. Big applause. And last but not least, James Wise. He is a partner at Balderton Capital, a European venture fund that has invested over 2 billion into startups across Europe in the last 15 years. James has been at Balderton for 3 years and led investments into companies like 3D Hubs, the world's largest distributed manufacturing network for 3D printing, which is one of the things we are going to talk about, some of the technologies within this Industry 4.0. Before that, he helped launch and run a social impact fund invested into companies which combine sustainable revenues with a positive social impact, and worked as a consultant to large manufacturing organizations while at McKinsey & Company. Okay, so let's start this roundtable. As you all know, it's about Industrial Revolution 4.0. I don't know how many new numbers we're going to add after the whatever and then before the 0.0, because there was the Revolution 2.0, then 3.0. We are now in 4.0, and the speed of the change of the number is faster and faster. So maybe next year we will be talking about the 5.0. Anyway, let's start with the first question. Industry 4.0 is being defined by cyber physical systems, smart factories, and smart products, and has been driven by technologies such as smart things, big data, 3D printing, etc. In your opinion, I would like to know, and the audience too, what are the key technologies to watch in the near future, and what do you think will be the effect that they will have in this 21st century industrial revolution? Would you like to start, Jose?
I would like to mention a few things that are going to happen in 1, 2 to 3 decades. One is telepathy. We will be able to communicate brain to brain probably in 2 decades, and this will change the whole thing, as you might imagine. Another one is indefinite lifespans. I think we are going to cure aging, and we are going to rejuvenate people. That also will change everything, as you might imagine. Third, we are going to have artificial intelligence reaching human intelligence level. That will change everything. Fourth, we are going to begin colonizing Mars. That will change everything. So there are so many incredible technologies. I can only tell you I'm so excited to be alive at this time.
Maria.
Well, in my case, I think I'm more conservative, and I think nanotechnologies is one, maybe in a short term, is one of the top technologies to be watched by the Industry 4.0 because of the Internet of Things. Nanomaterials and nanotechnologies can be used to make the sensors, which are very important in the Industry 4.0. Another thing is that nanomaterials are used in the 3D printing, and of course for printed inks also, and printed electronics, and can be used also for industrial water treatment, and a lot of applications that can, for example, reduce the cost of the manufacturing, the supply chain and the manufacturing process. So I think that these nanotechnologies can revolutionize the industry a lot.
Okay. Eric, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I was going to, so I don't know if nanotechnology was, I was going to be a little more conservative, but even somewhere between, or maybe a little bit to that side. And I was going to say, IoT, big data, and machine learning and factory automation are huge. And actually, what was wild for me, being from the US, was walking around here today at the marketplace, and I saw people that have already recognized that with little companies that are getting started up to go after those things.
Excellent. James?
Yeah, and I have to add, I mean, I think machine learning is one of the areas I'm most excited about. Effectively, industrial manufacturers have been cleaning data sets for us for the last 10 years, and they're going to have to clean their data sets a little bit further as we connect more devices and we collect more data. And when you have clean data sets, you can do some incredible things on top of that to improve processes, innovate more, and ways to help humans better understand that data with machine learning and ultimately artificial intelligence, I think, is one of the biggest areas. So I completely agree with what's said there. The one other thing I'd add is the expansion of human communication and societies and cultures. Maybe that's via telepathy, I hope so one day, but even through social networks, the fact that you can now tap into the resources. I know that a lot of people will be thinking this for personal social reasons, but actually for industrial reasons as well. The resources of cultures and universities and people of different backgrounds from across the world is actually going to have as big an impact on manufacturing as design as it had already had on the social space.
Thank you. Actually, this links to the second question, which is, how do you think this redefining of the manufacturing, the design processes, and the supply chain will impact on the labor force? Who wants to answer? James?
Yeah, I can start. I think that there's opportunities and threats here, right? Already we've seen that as machines have become, and we've seen this historically, as machines have become more automated and taken on some of the heavier burdens of labor, it's generally meant that people have managed to upskill and therefore become more productive. So if some days, if I was a designer or a manufacturer today, I'd be excited by the advent of greater robotics. I'd be excited by the advent of machine learning. I'd be excited by the rapid fall in costs to design and produce something, because it means that I, myself, can be more productive, design and create more things for less. Now, the bigger challenge then is to the big manufacturers. How do they look after and train up their workforce? Can they train up their workforce while at the same time keeping them employed? Because actually, if I'm in the labor force today in manufacturing, I may think to myself, well, with a 3D printer, with some CAD design tools, with the right social scraping data, I could actually start my own manufacturing design unit. And so I think that there's big opportunities, but also the big problem with saying, well, robotics is great and great machine learning is great because it means we get pushed higher up the productivity scale is that requires retraining. That requires a lot of learning. And I think that without resources pumped into that, we will see a big shift in where labor is today and where it is in the future. And that's going to rely on both national level investment as well as local companies investing in their workforce to get them up that productivity chain.
Okay. Eric, would you like to?
Yeah, so, I mean, if we call 3D printing additive manufacturing process, right, I think that, at least this is just an observation that I've made calling on large corporations. I think they get it, and they recognize that that's going to have to change. Whether it changes, and then the other question is geographically, where does that become a problem? And it may not become as big a problem in the knowledge-based economies where, you know, it's the designers and the people like that are working on it, but maybe more so in places where you're literally, you know, either adding a lot of human labor or just stamping the same thing out time and time again.
Excellent. Jose, would you like?
Yes, I would like to say that we have to reconsider what is work. Maybe the future of work is that it has no future. Because we will not be doing any repetitive labor, any boring work. A friend of mine tells me that the factories of the future will have only two employees. One will be a dog, and the other one will be a human. The human is there to feed the dog, and the dog is to stop the human from touching the machines. So actually, we might not need to work as we do today. We will be using our creativity. We will have more free time. We will travel more. And we will redefine what work means. It is not what we have today. Actually, if you have read the Bible or some of these scriptures, work is a disgrace. It's actually because you have done something sinful and then you have to work. So in the future, we might not have work as we know it today.
Okay. Well, this aspect of having more free time, at least, you know, pleasures me. I don't know about you all, that it's a great perspective to look for. Let me ask you, Maria, the next question,
Okay.
and we'll start with you. Regarding the energy industry, which is also mine, what do you think about energy efficiency? Do you think it's a key objective within the Industry 4.0? And do you think that energy management will be a basic basis for supply chain?
I think yes, considering that for example, in energy intensive industries, the 30% of the operating cost comes from the energy bill. And on the other hand, the 30% of the total and of the global energy consumption comes from industry. If right now, or what I see is that in the becoming years and currently also, is that market competitiveness is pushing to the companies and the production and the factories to fix lower prices. So this is almost mandatory to reach lower cost. And if the 30% of the cost comes from energy bill, it's obvious that one of the things that we have to do in a production chain is to reduce the energy. But not only from the point of view of economical point of view, but I think it's very important from a sustainable point of view also, no? And this is the part of the energy efficiency. Why trying to be more productive, employing less quantity of energy. But energy management in industry, I think, opens a door to optimize the production, but not only in the energy consumption part. If you analyze, for example, the data from an energy management from a machine, if you have change of voltage or peaks of consumption, maybe it's because something is wrong, and maybe it's because you have some problem in your supply chain. So I think the analysis of the energy behavior around the machinery and the production chains can help you also to optimize your production, the production of the proper. So
what do you think? Sorry?
Sorry, yeah, so that's...
Okay. What do you think, Eric? Because we all know that in the United States, there are some states pretty much focused on energy efficiency initiatives from a long time ago. So what's your perspective on this?
Well, I have to say that it's changing a little bit, and there's two sides to it. One is I was at Berkeley, at the university, not to be confused with Berklee College of Music, which is in Boston, a couple weeks ago, and the professor there that's one of the energy efficiency guys, it actually bothered me all night and on the flight back when he told me that I'm repeating a statistic, okay? That 40% of all energy in the world is actually consumed with heating and cooling and electricity for buildings, whether it's your home or a building. And that struck me as like, wow. And the thing they're working on there is, why don't you heat and cool the people as opposed to the space, right? But it struck me from an efficiency standpoint, we haven't begun to look at the problems. And U.S. is a huge consumer of energy. And having worked in wireless power for a while, usually people say, isn't that less efficient than using a wire? And the answer is, depends what you're trying to do. But every time I'd hear that, I'd think of sort of the hypocrisy in sort of all of the things we do. So first of all, you have, and actually someone I heard this from energy department person saying that, and by the way, Google denies this a little bit, but there's a lot of information about, one Google search takes up, it's like turning on a 60-watt light bulb for 17 seconds.
Wow.
Right? And so when you start saying, I'm going to put all this stuff in the cloud, which a lot of us are interested in doing that, it's like, man, are you sucking away a lot of energy that people aren't even counting? And if you think you don't count stuff, I'll give you two more examples. Every time, and I just did this, plugged in my cell phone to charge it, that transformer that goes between the USB and the transformer is sucking up 25% of the energy, because by law, it's got to be 75% efficient. And you could be, with a direct DC connection, doing that. And then the final one, they used to always sort of, when I thought about it, is the consumption of AA batteries. in the world. The last time I tried to do a count of it, it was like 40 billion a year. And these things are getting literally consumed and thrown away. And you don't think about it because it's so little, but 40 billion a year times, and it's a terrifically inefficient way to transfer energy, but it's super convenient to all of us. So I think that there needs to be a little bit of a mindset that I'm not sure, at least, whether we're ready to step up to that or not yet.
Okay. Jose, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I would like to say that I agree with efficiency because we basically waste about almost half of the energy production is wasted. And almost all of it in transportation. So when we move into electric cars that are incredibly efficient, actually the total energy produced will be reduced because we will not waste a large amount. But then I am not concerned about efficiency because we have incredible amounts of solar power. And I wanted to show here one of the new optical photovoltaic cells that are going to be massively produced very soon. This is transparent, but then you can also store energy. You can put a little battery here, even though this is transparent. And so you can produce and store. We will put this on windows, on floors, everywhere. Fossil fuels will remain fossil in 20 years, and we will move into solar energy. And because we have enormous amounts of solar power, thousands of times more solar energy reach our planet than we use, humanity as a civilization today. So I'm not worried about the scarcity. I'm worried about using it properly and not wasting it. But there is no energy crisis. There is only a crisis in our imagination. And I think we are solving that imagination crisis now.
Okay, thank you, Jose. Actually, what you have just shown leads me to the next question that I want to ask Eric to answer, which is entrepreneurs. Probably many of you are entrepreneurs. We have seen a huge increase of the number of startups in the last years. And I would like to ask you all, how do you think that these entrepreneurs are contributing to the Industry 4.0? And how do you think that this evolution of the Industry 4.0 will be changed by the effect of the entrepreneurs? Eric?
Well, so either being a recovering entrepreneur or whatever, and then also I'm a lousy investor because everything sounds good to me. But all you have to do is look around here. I mean, look around the marketplace. And what you'll see, there are huge opportunities because it's been disaggregated in a way that, whether it was the company I saw that was doing things for bed and breakfast to put in sensors in places that was displaying here today to make it more efficient for the owners of these places to cut down energy consumption, or the IoT, which Internet of Things does get a little overhyped, so you have to be a little bit careful about that. But there's wonderful opportunities for people that want to start businesses to jump in, and the barriers to entry are low enough that the largest companies don't have to do them, which means that when you have a great idea, that it can fit very well within that ecosystem. And I think that the larger corporations, which often represent the distribution channel for a lot of these businesses, do actually embrace this sort of thinking, and because they're looking for the next big thing too.
Yeah, and I have to add there, so I talked about imagination crisis. I had a conversation the other day with someone who was complaining about how expensive it is to start a gaming startup these days because it's so expensive and competitive to buy users through Facebook and hire the right marketers. And I just thought, but it's cheaper than ever to build a company that's attacking genetics or attacking manufacturing or going after machine learning or AI. It's never been cheaper to enter those spaces. So actually the barriers to entry in so many new fields are being opened up at speed, and a speed which we really haven't become cognizant of yet because we've been so focused on a few big startups in certain spaces making money, that I think we're going to see a revolution actually in many, many new industries rather than the ones we've already experienced, thanks to these opening costs and thanks to ambitious entrepreneurs who are willing to take on that level of imagination and use this new platform of free and cheap distribution that we have in front of us.
Okay, let me go to the fifth question because we don't have that much time. And I would ask you to think of 1 minute answer, okay? It's a very easy question. Who do you think is going to lead this industrial revolution, and how do you think governments and institutions are dealing with it? Any of you?
When you say who, it could be countries, or it could be groups of people or companies.
Whatever. Open answer.
Well, I would say individuals, because we have an incredible power to create, to imaginate. I like to say that we have to move from manufacturing to mindfacturing, and the human imagination is basically limitless. There is no limit to what we can imagine. There is no limit to what we can create. So individuals, I think we are the most powerful resource.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only difference I'd say is that we've done a big report on talent recently, and I really noticed how Europe's changing so that many people who are starting new companies now, challenging companies, actually have already worked in big technology companies. They already have that experience. And so we're seeing a shift from people who are coming straight out of banking or consulting or whatever to people with slightly more experience now, because we've had a first wave of companies, some of which succeeded, some of which have failed. We've taken those learnings, and now we can apply those. So I think it will be individuals, and I think it'll be individuals who've been through the mill once or twice before.
Okay.
And just to take the non-entrepreneurial sort of approach to this, I put a plug in for the big companies because I think they do represent, whether it's, here in Europe, Siemens obviously stands to benefit pretty substantially. I think all of the energy companies, providers are going to do that. General Electric in the US, that, they see these problems and they see them as opportunities. And I think it dovetails nicely with the, what did you call it? Mindfacturing. Yeah, so.
I think automotive industry maybe will lead the industry 4.0 because they are quite automatized, and they are, in fact, BMW has already implemented some interesting projects in.
Okay. Well, thank you to all of you for being with us here, and thank you guys. You made my work really easy. So thank you.
Hola.